Good morning, good morning, good morning. Welcome to day 102 of the Free to Hope presents 12 Steps Applied to COVID-19. 12 steps created by Alcoholics Anonymous over 80 years ago. No, I do not represent Alcoholics Anonymous, but I've been a proud, grateful, and humble member for 31 years, one day at a time. As of February the 23rd of 2021, we celebrated 31 years. In addition, we are celebrating 102 days of being free from COVID-19. Me, along with 7 other family members. To God be the glory. Free stands for from recovery, emerge empowered to do what? To give hope to others, help others prosper equally. God chooses broken, wounded, and shattered people like you and like me to rescue wounded, shattered, and broken people like you and like me. And for that, we should give him homage, acknowledgement, right? Praise, and thank him for breathing life into your vessel this morning, breathing life into my vessel this morning, waking you up this morning, waking me up this morning, because we know there are some who will not make up, who did not wake up, right? And there may be some who will be transitioning as we speak. So for that, we want to pay homage to our Creator who knows the beginning, the middle, and the end of this COVID pandemic and its effects, outcomes, impact, and fatalities. There is a solution, though, and they are in the 12 steps of Alcoholics Anonymous being applied to COVID-19. But let's give 30 seconds and a moment of silence to give homage to our Creator and to those who are transitioning, who have lost loved ones, who are suffering through, who are providing intervention, help, right? Those who are doing the next right thing, and even those who are being defiant regarding COVID-19. In other words, let's give homage to the entire human race while we all go through this knee bowing experience simultaneously in a holistic approach. However, there is a solution, and they are in the 12 steps applied to COVID-19. Simple suggestions of washing our hands, wearing the mask, getting tested, social distancing, contact tracing, and getting vaccinated. So let's give our Creator 30 seconds in a moment of silence along with the entire human race. Join me. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you on behalf of my higher power, who I choose to call God. Thank you on behalf of those who can't say thank you, won't say thank you, unable to say thank you, refuse to say thank you, and those who are willing to say thank you. Thank you. In the 12-step program, we always give a moment of silence for the still sick and suffering alcoholic inside and outside of the rooms, for the babies who are born into this addiction and who have no choice. So what we do in the 12-step program of Alcoholics Anonymous, we now can apply to COVID-19 Anonymous. Yes. And for that, we need to give our Creator all the acknowledgement, because we as human beings are limited, but we do have the ability to choose to do the next right thing and saving your life, saving the lives of your loved ones, and saving the lives of others. If we embrace, analyze, marinate, decipher, right? Evaluate, assess those 12 steps that are spiritual in nature in order to bring about a spiritual experience, thereby making it a spiritual awakening that will produce a spiritual transformation. Increase your spiritual maturity to achieve that psychic change that is needed to do the next right thing in order to save our brothers and sisters and ourselves. So, but there are some barriers, there are some character defects that stand in the way from us using common sense that are designed to save our lives. The human race is at risk, right? Even though this is a new year, a new month with this COVID-19 that started back last year in February, March, April, where we only had 15, 20, maybe 30. Now, a year later, over 500,000. And it's going to increase and get worse. But guess what? We don't, you don't, I don't have to be a part of that population that just thinks it's a hoax, that don't believe it will touch them, that are still defiant, still rebellious, still stubborn, self-centered, like I was. I'm talking about me until I contracted COVID-19. So I am coming with wisdom, lack of wisdom, bad choices, bad decisions, but my experience, my strength, and my hope of applying the 12 steps to my disease of alcoholism, right? And now to COVID-19, and it's working because I have choices today. I have freedom today, and the choice is to do the next right thing. Yes. And so I want to say welcome back to 102 of our Free to Hope presentation, our recovery conversation, applying those 12 steps to COVID-19 so that we can stop the perpetuation of its devastating fatalities, outcome, impact, and effects. Yes. Members of my family from age 2 to 78 survived COVID-19, but we know that a whole lot of others did not. And it's going to continue to get worse. So I want to first acknowledge my sponsors. I want to acknowledge my researchers, Dr. Scott T. Allison, who is responsible for me sitting before you, presenting these 12 steps and applying them to COVID-19 back then during the month of April. But guess what? We're still doing it now. And Jason Waller, narrative and the questions that he poses and breaking down all of the 12 steps that he applies to his alcoholism. And Dr. Scott T. Allison applied the Al-Anon's approach to the human race by saying we can benefit from the wisdom of 12-step programs during this pandemic. Yes. So I want to acknowledge my sponsors first. So let's go here. And if you want to be a sponsor, you can. All right. So my sponsors so far are MDB Associates with Dr. Mary Douglas Bailey. A lot of individuals with co-occurring disorders because of this COVID pandemic are experiencing a lot of feelings, thoughts of suicide, don't know what to do, where to go. So go to MDB Associates and see Dr. Mary Douglas Bailey. Also, we have Patchwork Human Services, putting your life back together with Ebony Madry. She too provides counseling for individuals and families, organizational training on how to apply any and all solutions that will impact or affect any area of your life. Then we have Levante and Dorsey and Associates. She is great with working with children and family who have all kinds of issues. But guess what? There is hope when you use the holistic approach. And that's what Levante and Dorsey and Associates do. We have Academy of Peace. My dear friend, my spiritual mentor, Miss Dr. J. Macklin, Academy of Peace. There you can house and put on any type of production, house your meetings, give presentations, workshops, seminars, all in the name of peace. And during this COVID-19 pandemic, if we apply the 12 steps, we can achieve and maintain peace in the midst of the storm. So that's Academy of Peace with Dr. J. Macklin. On my 31st anniversary, I visited a new business called Crafty Crab Seafood Restaurant in Wilmington, Delaware. And when I say mwah, mwah, it is an absolutely marvelous place to have your dinner, your lunch, and gatherings. So please visit Crafty Crab Seafood Restaurant. Now, you saw that I have given you Free to Hope. That's my nonprofit. No, that's my for-profit organization. In order to make this information free to others, I do solicit sponsors. So Free to Hope is from recovery, emerge empowered to give hope to others, help others prosper equally. I have additional sponsors. They are, right? Women do haul transportation services. Women who are transitioning from drug and rehab facilities, out of prison, domestic violence. Yes, women can do the work, and we have a women do haul transportation services. My crown that you see that I present to you every morning is performed by Mark Cooper of Mr. C's Barbershop. We also have the attire that I sometimes wear is from Morgan's of Delaware. The outfit that I'm wearing this morning, my Afrocentric outfit, is from Lady T at Morgan's of Delaware. And most of the jewelry I wear is jewelry by Catherine Butler. And my last sponsor before you join is Divine Light Recovery Center Supportive Housing. Yes, CEO Sakina Dean and Executive Director Melvin Stokes. Divine Light. Who would have ever thought that when Dr. Carl Jong, Dr. Bob, and Bill met, they said that people with the disease of alcoholism need divine intervention, divine providence, which can lead you to divine light. And this awesome organization I was led to over 10 years ago, Divine Light. I saw the light, and so can you when we apply these 12 spiritual principles. So if you would like to be a sponsor, please contact me at edwina.bell@yahoo.com or 302-690-6679. Again, the information is free to the public, but I want to be able to get on as many media platforms as possible around the world. And it is my heart desire that we become syndicated. Someone planted the seed, and I'm giving it power, and it's God's will if it will manifest. And I believe it will, because we do recover. And we are all going through this COVID-19 pandemic, and we need to encourage everyone to do the simple suggestions of wearing a mask, washing our hands, social distancing, contact tracing, getting tested, and getting vaccinated, okay? And so please contact me if you would like to be a sponsor, all right? I mentioned to you Dr. Scott T. Allison, and he was the one who wrote that article in Psychology Today that stated how we can obtain wisdom of the 12-step programs can help us through the month of April of 2020. Now we are coming upon April again, and it's over 500,000 who have lost their lives. 30 million in just the United States only have contracted COVID-19. We got to stop its perpetuation, and we can if we just do these simple suggestions. But if you need help, the 12 steps can give you the wisdom that you need to achieve that psychic change and be restored to sanity. So Dr. Scott T. Allison uses the Al-Anon approach, right? 12 steps of Al-Anon Anonymous, right? Letting go of control, patience, keeping the focus on oneself, trust, living in the present, social connections. We can stay connected. We don't have to be around each other. Facebook, right? What's up at, right? Live, right? Virtual. We can stay connected. And number 7, being of service to others. Wouldn't you want to be of service to your fellow man? And wouldn't you want them to be of service to you? Well, we can by applying these 12 spiritual principles to COVID-19. All right, let's go to our next resource, which is Jason Waller. Again, I did not know he was an actor, but when I went on the website to find a simplistic breakdown of the 12 steps, I came across Jason Waller's template overview synopsis, and he basically put the breakdown of the 12 steps in such a simplistic form that even a child can understand. So when I refer to him, I will be breaking down the steps as he applied them to his disease of alcoholism. Then I will replace the area of focus to COVID-19. JasonWaller.com. All right, let's continue. So many people need to be reminded. Not everybody understands. Not everybody know what the 12 steps are. But guess what? For 31 years, one day at a time, millions of us have and are on the journey of recovery, and you can too, and apply these spiritual principles to all our affairs, and particularly with COVID-19. So when we replace the area of focus to COVID-19, they will read as such. We admitted we were powerless over COVID-19, that our lives had become unmanageable, right? 2, came to believe that a power greater than ourselves could restore us to sanity regarding COVID-19, and sanity only means soundness of mind. 3, made a decision to turn our will and our lives over to the care of God as we understood him regarding COVID-19. 4, made a searching and fearless moral inventory of ourselves regarding COVID-19. Why am I so stubborn? Why am I so defiant? Why don't I want to wear a mask? Why can't I use common sense? Well, the answers lie in recovery principle number 4. And recovery principle number 5, admitted to God, to ourselves, and to another human being the exact nature of our wrongs regarding COVID-19. And when we get to the exact nature of all those character defects, we will learn that it is fear. Fear of not having, fear of not doing, fear. And most people in recovery learn to use the acronym FACE everything and recover regarding fear. And recovery principle number 6, once we identify those character defects and get to the exact nature, we become entirely ready to have our God remove all defects of character, your higher power, the universe, the creator. But you know that you cannot remove your character defects. But God could and would if he were so. We just have to become entirely ready. So let's go on to the remaining steps as we apply them to COVID-19. Once we have gone through steps 1 through 6, we get to 7. And once we become aware of our defects in the exact nature, and when we begin to do something or say something that's not right, or we've done something that we know didn't feel right, we can humbly ask him to remove our shortcomings, particularly regarding COVID-19. 8, which is what we are on today and probably for the rest of the week, made a list of all persons we had harmed and became willing to make amends to them all regarding COVID-19. Guess what? All of my family members are on that list. When we go to recovery principle number 9, made direct amends to such people wherever possible, except when to do so would injure them or others, even you, regarding COVID-19. And 10, we continue to take personal inventory. And when we were wrong, we promptly admitted it. So when you feel yourself wanting to be defiant, want to be rebellious, don't want to put on a mask, right? Take that inventory and correct that wrong and make it right. Number 11, sought through prayer and meditation to improve our conscious contact with God as we understood him, praying only for the knowledge of his will for us and the power to carry it out regarding COVID-19. But in Alcoholics Anonymous, our higher power just asks us to do two things: stay sober and help another alcoholic achieve sobriety. And when we apply this to COVID-19, we can do the CDC suggestions for ourselves and help others do the same thing. Recovery principle number 12, having had a spiritual awakening as a result of these steps, we try to carry this message to others regarding COVID-19 and to practice these principles in all our affairs. When we apply these 12 spiritual principles to COVID-19, we must stop COVID-19's devastating effects, right? Stop the perpetuation of it so we can save lives instead of take them away by not wearing a mask, washing your hands, social distancing, contact tracing, getting tested, getting vaccinated, okay? So let me show you that as a result of me being defiant, rebellious, and all of that back in October through December, when I had the information, had the knowledge, but somehow, some way, that character defect of still being defiant and being selfish, even after 31 years, was still there. And I picked and choose when I wanted to wear a mask. I picked and choose when I wanted to wash my hands. I picked and choose social distancing. I was skeptical about getting tested and definitely skeptical about getting vaccinated, right? Contact tracing, it didn't matter. So I contributed to me contracting COVID-19 and infecting members of my family. And I had the information. That's why my higher power chose to allow me to live and all of my family members. I can breathe. I can smell. I can taste. I can hear. But the object is to listen. And so I needed to go back to the basics and apply these 12 spiritual principles to COVID-19, which is why I'm sitting before you from December the 3rd, when I shared with you my journey of what COVID-19 looked like on me, the impact, the effect of it, right? Being transparent, being totally honest, and still in recovery 102 days later. You don't believe what I look like? Because I definitely don't look like what I've been through, 31 years in recovery from addiction and whatnot. So let me show you what COVID-19 looked like on me, all right? Here I am. See that? I was sweaty. I didn't have a temperature. My whole body felt like a toothache. I had lost my taste, lost my smell, could hardly swallow. And that is what COVID-19 looked like on me. So if you want to go back to my archives as far back as December the 3rd up until now, you can see the transformation. And so I thank God that he's allowed me to do my part, just to save one life, to save one family, to save one culture, one culture. So we know that the minority populations are the most impacted and the most infected, but don't get the help that's available because of various reasons, right? Some that are substantiated, some that are myths, and just some that are outright disgusting. But we have to save ourselves, our family, our culture, our community, our city, our state, our country. And if we do it simultaneously, we can, we will, we must stop this perpetuation of COVID-19. Okay. And so just like I showed you what COVID-19 looked like on me. So applying these 12 spiritual principles I have and to COVID-19 from December on up until now, guess what? I decided to get tested. I got tested several times and I got vaccinated. Yes, I did my research. I did my homework. I got all my questions answered and I was watching who was getting the shot. So don't be fooled and be left out to die. No, get that vaccination shot so that it can decrease the severity of the symptoms, decrease the possibility of you being hospitalized, and decrease the possibility of you dying. Because in a 12-step program, they say, and it is true, some of us must die in order for some of us to live. Why? Because some of us are constitutionally incapable of being honest. They're not at fault. They seem to have been born that way. Are you one of those? Or are you just being stubborn, selfish, self-centered, rebellious, defiant, right? Having an attitude of being invincible. I felt the same way. I contracted it. It was only by the grace of God that me and my family members still live. So get vaccinated. So let me show you my first shot, okay? You might be from Missouri. This was on March the 3rd. Excited about getting the needle. Yes. Woo.
Here we go, my daughter.
Excited about getting the needle. Yes. Yes. During my addiction, I got needles for STDs. I got needles for blood work. I got needles for everything. But I wanted to get the needle that can help stop the severity of those symptoms, not be hospitalized and possibly not lose my life. So bring on that needle. Watch the next one with my second shot, right? Huh?
Look at it. She said the red button. Gotcha.
I'm happy.
Right. Let's get you a little shot of hope here, my
A shot of hope. That's what she said. A shot of hope. A shot of hope. By applying these 12 steps in my life and me sharing them with you, we can have, we will have, we do have hope. If we just apply these 12 spiritual principles and practice the simple suggestions of the CDC, we can, we will, we must, absolutely must. And if you can count on nobody else, can I count on you? Can I depend on you? Because you could depend on me, to do the next right thing regarding COVID-19, wearing the mask, wash your hands, social distancing, right? Contact tracing, getting tested, and getting vaccinated. And spreading the word, being an example, being an attraction for other people. All right. Woo. So let's continue with our presentation in terms of our recovery conversation, right? So we are now on recovery principle number 8. But what I want to show you now, and I have been because I needed to kind of mix the hour up with my introduction, because in recovery, repetition is so vital. It is. So listen, what you heard the other day, you might be listening to today, right? So repetition in a 12-step program is essential. Why? Because we don't know when the student is ready so that the teacher can appear. We don't know when the student needs to go to the next level and is ready so that the teachers can reappear or appear. So it is about repetition, so that it can infiltrate our spirit, so that it will create that spiritual experience, that spiritual awakening, that spiritual transformation, increase our spiritual maturity to achieve that psychic change, to do the next right, simple things that's designed to save your behind and not your face. All right, so let's see where we are. So I want to show you, I believe it's day 3, part 1 of my podcast back in December, when you will see, no, This goes back to April the 1st, April the 3rd. I'm sorry. I've been on for a while. It started as 30 days, but Dr. J. Macklin and my dear friend Sandy Anderson said, no, God wants you to keep talking until it becomes syndicated. Yes, that is my desire, but only if it's God's will. All right, so I want to show you a few minutes of that before we go into our morning discussion regarding recovery principle number 8. All right, so let me take this away. All right, and let me bring this up. Okay, and let me remove myself. I'm Edwina, and I always say my last name is not important because I'm just like you. And I want to invite you to have a conversation with us this morning. My friend Billy Dandridge, let me get my mom. Okay. My mother, Helen Hall, who has transitioned, as well as, okay. Go back and sit down and watch TV. Go back and sit down. Thank you. Go ahead. I am challenged this morning with some little people. Go sit down, watch TV. And as you may have seen or heard, my grandchildren are up. I have 2 of them that are 2 years old, 3 months apart. So it's going to be a challenge, but we're going to try to get through this. Okay? So, welcome to the Free to Hope 12 Recovery Principles conversation. And I invite you to day 4. I committed to doing a 30-day presentation, and Yolanda, thank you. I have just asked my niece to take my little 2 upstairs while I do my presentation. It's one thing to ask for help and accept it. And so I thank God that I am able to practice the 12 recovery principles by asking for help. So this is, again, the Free from Recovery, Emerge Empowered to Hope, Help Others Prosper Equally conversation with Edwina. And we are going to be discussing the 12 recovery principles throughout the month of April that were modeled after the 12-step program of Alcoholics Anonymous. And as a result of me being in recovery for 30 years, I have been prepared, qualified, coached, molded, shaped, formed to bring this information that we who are in 12-step programs around the world share with you who may not be in a 12-step program but can use the wisdom of the 12-step program. So the 12 recovery principles conversation that I'm presenting to you is modeled after the 12 steps of Alcoholics Anonymous. And like I said, for the next 26 days, because we're in day 4, I will be presenting to you each step, each recovery principle, in its entirety in terms of how they have worked for me over the past 30 years and why I needed and eventually wanted the help that was available through a 12 recovery principle program. So that's what this is about, and we are on day 4. My prayer is that everyone is safe as can be, and my hope is to provide you with some additional information and knowledge that you can utilize, internalize, and embrace as we go through this life-challenging situation. It won't be the last, and it definitely hasn't been the first, but it may be the first for you. It may be a reminder to others But how do we learn what tools to use, what help is available to make this transition that we're going through a little more easier to deal with? And so Dr. Scott T. Allison wrote an article in Psychology Today a few days ago that talked about how we, the world, can benefit from the wisdom of the 12-step program. And one of the things that he emphasized the most, that we emphasize in recovery, is the importance, the rewards, and the benefits of learning, utilizing, and internalizing the serenity prayer, which says, Lord, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. Again, this is not a religious program, it's a spiritual program. These are not religious principles, although they did come from the scriptures. They have, Alcoholics Anonymous, utilized the spiritual aspect of the program because not many of us may be in a religious and have a religious affiliation. But in any event, we are all spiritual. We're twofold. We're human and we're spiritual. And so we, the 12 recovery principles, focus on the spiritual aspect of our humanness that is operating through this vehicle called the human body and walking on this earth. That makes sense? So we are spiritual beings encased in this physical body and walking this thing called life on earth. And I attribute that to a song that Donald Lawrence wrote, that the first sentence says, you are not a natural being having a spiritual experience. You are a spiritual being living this natural experience. That makes sense? I'll repeat that. You are not a natural being having a spiritual experience. You are a spiritual being walking this natural experience. And so with living life on life terms, we who have been in recovery since man has been trying to stop drinking since he put his foot on this earth. Okay? Not that he put his foot on this earth, but since man has been a part of this earth, that he's been trying to find a way to control, if you will, his drinking habits, his bad habits, his sinful nature, if you will. And so through the recovery principle that we're going to be learning over the next remaining 26 days is going to help you learn how they helped me and millions of others who are in recovery from various things to live life on life terms, particularly in challenging situations, but also in celebratory situations. So whether we're doing very good or whether we're doing very bad or we're doing not so good, not so bad, we're in the middle, right? These recovery principles can keep us in our right size. So that's what we're here again for day 4 about, and it's called Free. From recovery, emerge empowered to hope, help others prosper equally. And having been in recovery for, again, the last 30 years, I too have been faced with a lot of challenges, a lot of situations, a lot of circumstances, ups and downs. But one of the main reasons that I needed and wanted to be a part of a 12 recovery principle program is that I didn't want to drink and drug anymore. Yes. So I'm in recovery and have been because 30 years ago, I couldn't stop drinking. I couldn't stop drugging. And I couldn't stop doing the associated behaviors with utilizing those substances. And so February the 22nd of 1990, in the streets of Philadelphia, I placed myself underneath a parked car, getting away from a stepson that I was getting high with and doing all kinds of other things with. And I placed myself underneath that parked car to save my life. But while underneath that parked car, my life flashed before me. How at the age of 34 did I get underneath this parked car? I had aspirations of being a model, a phys ed teacher, voted most likely to succeed. I was the co-captain of the cheerleader team, the vice president of my high school class. How at the age of 34 did I get underneath that car? The flashbacks of the rapes, the beat-ups, the setups, the being passed around like a bucket, called all kinds of names. My family disowning me, my children ashamed of me. How did I get underneath that parked car at the age of 34? The suicide attempts, trying to get out of this devastating thing called addiction that I had no idea about. And for me, when they say that you hit bottom, well, that was a literal bottom for me 30 years ago underneath that parked car in the streets of Philadelphia. I then, unknowingly to me, went to a place that's within my spirit that was obviously created by God to say, when that student is ready, the teacher will appear. Their, you can go in there, but their sippy cups are on the couch. But when I asked and hollered out to this creator that, again, I had no idea about, I hollered out, whoever they say you are, take me out this life or show me a better way. Take me out this life or show me a better way. And that was my rock bottom. When the student is ready, the teacher will appear. So for me, the 12 recovery principles helped me with my drug addiction and associated issues. But more importantly, and which is what I want to discuss with you, you may not have the disease of addiction or alcoholism like I did and so many of us do. Nor do I wish it on anybody. But you may be going through things that you don't understand. And you may be exhibiting some behaviors that are unhealthy. Maybe you are in some situations that you don't need to be in. Maybe you are chasing something that's unattainable, right? Because most human beings are so used to looking for external things to deal with things that are going on inside of us. Yes. We go shopping, we have sex, we are workaholics, we buy clothes, we get into unhealthy hobbies, right? And so we think we are dealing with whatever situation we are, but we're really not. Because we are escaping through those things externally that we need to be addressing with help that's inside of us. So the 12 recovery principles for the past 30 years initially helped me with my drug addiction. However, you can relate to this. The 12 recovery principles also has helped me deal with cancer. I'm a cancer survivor of 30 years. It also helped me with dealing with the remorse and the guilt and the regrets of abusing and neglecting my children during my addiction. The recovery principles has helped me deal with the domestic violence that I was involved in and out of addiction. Yes, domestic violence. Recovery principle helped me to deal with that situation and freed me. Yes. The recovery principles has also helped me with mental illness. Why? Because the 12 recovery principles allow me and others, and can do for you, to deal with the issues that are inside of us that we normally would not want to expose or to share with anyone. For instance, fear. How many of us want to tell somebody we're afraid, we're scared? We should, but many of us don't. Why? Because we are afraid of being judged or criticized. So acknowledging that their fear is in us and we're thinking about it and we're feeling it, we don't expose it. So what we do with that fear, we pick up. This is a cup of coffee. Some people are addicted to caffeine.
Mm-hmm.
Smoking. To deal. What other issues that are inside of us? Jealousy, insecurity, instability, competitiveness, lack of high esteem, suffering from low self-esteem, not being able to fit in, not having a sense of belonging. These are things that are inside of us that we're thinking, that's generating feelings, and feelings generating thoughts that we are not talking about. We are not availing ourselves to what is out there to help us deal with those feelings inside. And so what we do is we create some unhealthy thoughts, attitudes, and behaviors. Well, the 12 recovery principles are here to help you, to help me, to help those that are yet to come who are going to need these 12 recovery principles. So our goal is prevention by sharing these 12 recovery principles with as many people as possible can help prevent a lot of issues, a lot of pain, a lot of dysfunction. If we share these 12 recovery principles to others as early as possible. Then we also want to emphasize intervention, particularly now with this coronavirus pandemic that's going on. What can these 12 recovery principles do now to help us, me, you, the world, deal with what this thing is bringing about? It's not the first time that man has gone through something like this, and guess what? It won't be the last time. But what can we do, you, I, the world, individually and collectively, right now? What can I use right now? What could you use right now? What can we use right now to help us deal with what's going on that's generating a lot of fear, insecurity, the whole 9 yards? So if people who are in recovery and have been or just starting out, these 12 recovery principles need to be emphasized, a lot. Because we don't want to go back to drinking and drugging. It's only going to make the situation even worse, right? But we also want to intervene now so that we don't have the potential of making someone an alcoholic or an addict. When people don't know what to do, when people don't know what's going on, sometimes they think that they're dealing and they need to calm down or they need to think about some things, and they start picking up unhealthy things on the outside to deal with what's going on in the inside. So when we talk about what's going on in the world today, I ask myself in terms of intervention, what can I do? What can I give? What can I share? to help you, and whoever will listen. Well, I can share how the 12 recovery principles have helped me throughout the years and have helped me to be prepared for situations like this. Yes, for situations like this. Because I don't want to go back to drinking. I don't want to make ends meet by going out and prostituting again. Yes. I don't want to go out and rob people and rob stores again. Things I used to do to support my habit. But these 12 recovery principles has helped me to identify what I can do through the serenity prayer, what I need to accept, and ask for courage to change the things I can, and most importantly, the wisdom to know the difference. And so if I didn't have these 12 recovery principles in my life today and have been prepared for what's yet to come, I'll probably be drinking again. And some of you are. I'm not saying you should or you shouldn't, but I'm letting you know my experience. I can't drink again. Even if I could drink again, I don't want to drink again. I want to use these 12 recovery principles to help me deal with what's inside and expose them, to get help for them, to put them in its right perspective. Alcoholics Anonymous can stand for AA, attitude adjustment. Yeah. And so my way of providing intervention help is by doing what I'm doing now. Sharing with you my experience, my strength, and my hope about the 12 recovery principles. And then the third part is restoration. Once we get through all of this, and we don't know when and how we're going to get through it, we really don't. Everybody has all these solutions, these alternatives, these projections, these pathways, but nobody really knows but. But the question is, what can I do? What can you do to help yourself and to help those immediately around you? And if each one of us did that, then once we get through this, using the 12 recovery principles can help restore our life. Help put our lives back together after learning some important information as a result of going through this experience. So that we can learn what we need to do differently so it doesn't be repeated. So these 12 recovery principles are for prevention, for intervention, and eventually for restoration. All right. So listen, I am not in a hurry. I wanted you to get the gist of that so that we can emphasize again things that are repeated, things that need to be repetitious so that you can listen. And even though we are starting a new principle today, I believe in setting the foundation. I believe in preparing you. I believe in giving you the appetizer before we get into the entrees, okay? So with the time remaining, let me say that we are now on recovery principle number 8. And it says, made a list of all persons we had harmed and became willing to make amends to them all. We know that we have gone through steps 1 through 7. Admit, came to believe, right? Made a decision to turn our will and our lives over to a power greater than us. Right? Did a moral and searching fearless inventory, admitted to God, to ourselves and another human being, the exact nature of our wrongs, right? 6, we're entirely ready to have God remove our shortcomings. And 7, humbly ask him to remove our shortcomings, right? And so Now that we are in recovery principle number 8, we need to backtrack as far as we can to compose a list of all individuals we have harmed as far back as we can remember, and not just individuals, organizations, or agencies, right? Because we want to be set free. So we have to acknowledge those things that we did. We have to be held responsible for the harm we have caused in any way, shape, form, or fashion. And we can only do that if we write down the name, the organization, the situation, who was involved, and what type of amends we could possibly make, because we want to experience the freedom. And so with recovery principle number 8, particularly regarding COVID-19, oh, yes. When I did that list, I tell you, it brought tears to my eyes because I contributed to contracting COVID-19 and I caused harm to members of my family and to others. And so, in making that list, I'm going to share with you tomorrow Jason Waller's breakdown narrative, the questions that he posed regarding recovery principle number 8 from a alcoholic's point of view who is in recovery. And then we're going to change the area of focus to COVID-19. All right. And so 8 is one of the steps that begin to allow us to use recovery principle number 4 when we made that searching and fearless more inventory of ourselves and how we, where those attitudes, ideas, and behaviors were formulated way, way back. And the character defects of being defiant, being rebellious, being selfish, being self-centered, having that attitude of being invincible, being egotistical, being prideful. And so when we bring step 4 in order to help us compose our list of step 8, we will see and it will be revealed, woo, we caused a lot of harm. But guess who's first on that list? Who did we cause the most harm to? Ourselves. And so when we began to address the harm we caused ourselves by putting our name on the list as number 1, we will get to see what that process of making amends feel like, what the process of forgiving oneself, the remorse, the guilt, the shame, and all that. We will learn how to apply those amends to practice patience and tolerance with ourselves, to learn to love ourselves again. Because if we don't apply those principles and putting ourselves on that list first, there's no way we can do it for others. And so this step 8 is basically the foundation to set us free from the world and from ourselves and begin to look the world in the eye, right? Look ourselves in the mirror and say, I did not like you before, but I've learned to like you now, and I'm even growing to love you. And when I can do that for myself, I can do it for others. All right. So we are going to, if it's God's will that he wakes us up on day 103, we will be reunited. If he chooses to breathe life into your vessel, breathe life into my vessel, wake me up tomorrow morning, wake you up tomorrow morning, we will be reunited and we will begin the preparation, the foundation of introducing recovery principle number 8 to you from Jason Waller's point of view with alcoholism. And then we're going to change the area of focus to COVID-19. Okay, so be safe when you go out there today. Make sure you do what is necessary by washing your hands, wearing the mask, social distancing. Right, here you go. I got it. I ain't put this thing up. That ain't important, right? Social distancing, right? Contact tracing, the whole 9 yards. Social. Then I said social distancing, getting tested, and getting vaccinated. So we can, we will, we must stop the perpetuation of COVID-19. So let me end by showing you Again, acknowledgement of my sponsors and hoping that you will patronize them and support them. And also, you may want to become a sponsor yourself. And so we have here MDB Associates, Patchwork Human Services, Levante and Dorsey and Associates, Academy of Peace, Crafty Crab Seafood Restaurant, Free to Hope. We have also Women Do Haul Transportation Services. We have Mr. C's Barbershop. We have Morgans of Delaware. My outfit today is Lady T at Morgans of Delaware. Jewelry by Catherine Butler and Divine Light Recovery Center. And again, if you want to be a sponsor, please contact me at edwina.bell@yahoo.com or 302-690-6679 or cash at me $ free to hope. I want to again thank my resources, Dr. Scott T. Allison, in his Psychology Today, where he talked about those 7 points, right? And I also want to thank Jason Waller as he talked about breaking down the 12 steps so that we all can be prepared to be set free and to give hope to others. So let me close out with showing you my last vaccination that I got on February 6th. Until we meet again, God bless.
All right.
You did it.
Sit for 15
About
minutes.
15
Yes.
minutes.
All righty.
Listen to the words.
Look at it. She did the red button. Gotcha. All right.
Okay.
Let's get you a little shot of hope here, my
Yes,
dear.
dear. Yes, dear. Yes, yes, yes,
There you
yes.
go. Perfect. You did it.
All right.
You did it.
Sit for 15
About
minutes.
15 minutes,
All
okay?
righty. Good.
And you'll be out the door.
All